Grounding electrode conductor installation. In accordance with the National Electrical Code, it is permissible to run a grounding electrode conductor outside from each panel and compression splice them together before connecting to the ground rod. The first ground rod should be driven at the first point of connection, and a supplemental rod can be driven further away. If the building has a common waste drain and the panel also has a water bond, it is permissible to bond the hot water, cold water, waste, and gas together in one place, as all pipes are common to each other. The National Electrical Code requires a minimum of one grounding electrode system for each building served. It is recommended to have multiple grounding rods for redundancy and to reduce the impedance of the grounding system. 3 ground rods at one location and 3 supplemental rods for the unit with 3 meters is a good practice, but it may not be explicitly required by the inspector. The inspector may require additional ground rods if the soil conditions are poor or if the building is located in a high-risk area for electrical hazards. It is important to follow the inspector's instructions and local code requirements. Properly grounding electrical systems is essential for safety and code compliance. Grounding systems are a critical part of electrical safety. A grounding system provides a low-impedance path for fault current to return to the source, which allows overcurrent protective devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses, to quickly trip and de-energize the circuit, preventing electrical shock and fire hazards. The grounding electrode conductor, often referred to as the GEC, is the conductor that connects the electrical system's grounded conductor, usually the neutral, to the grounding electrode. The grounding electrode is a conductive rod, plate, or other approved object buried in the earth that provides a direct connection to the ground. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides comprehensive guidelines for grounding and bonding electrical systems to ensure safety and proper operation. Section 250 of the NEC is dedicated to grounding and bonding requirements. When installing grounding electrode conductors, it's essential to adhere to the NEC guidelines for conductor size, material, and installation method. The size of the grounding electrode conductor is typically based on the size of the service entrance conductors. Table 250.66 in the NEC provides guidance on the appropriate grounding electrode conductor size based on the size of the service entrance conductors. Grounding electrode conductors must be made of copper, aluminum, or copper-clad aluminum. The conductor must be protected from physical damage and securely fastened to the grounding electrode. Compression splices are commonly used to join grounding electrode conductors. These splices provide a reliable and permanent connection. It's crucial to use listed compression connectors and follow the manufacturer's instructions for proper installation. The NEC permits the use of exothermic welding, also known as CAD welding, to join grounding electrode conductors. Exothermic welding creates a molecular bond between the conductors, resulting in a highly reliable and corrosion-resistant connection. Ground rods are a common type of grounding electrode. They are typically made of copper-clad steel or stainless steel and are driven into the earth to provide a connection to ground. The NEC requires that ground rods be at least 8 feet in length and installed so that at least 8 feet of the rod is in contact with the soil. When installing multiple ground rods, they should be spaced at least 6 feet apart to minimize overlapping of their effective grounding zones. Supplemental ground rods are often used to improve the effectiveness of the grounding system, especially in areas with poor soil conductivity. The NEC requires a supplemental electrode if the resistance to ground of a single electrode exceeds 25 ohms. This resistance can be measured using a ground resistance tester. In some cases, the local inspector may require additional ground rods based on specific site conditions or local code requirements. It's essential to communicate with the inspector and follow their guidance to ensure compliance. Bonding refers to the practice of connecting all metallic parts of an electrical system together to create a low-impedance path for fault current. This includes metal conduits, enclosures, and equipment grounding conductors. Bonding helps to ensure that all metallic parts are at the same electrical potential, reducing the risk of electrical shock. The NEC requires bonding of metallic water piping systems to the electrical grounding system. This helps to prevent electrical current from flowing through the water pipes, which could create a shock hazard. When bonding metallic water pipes, it's important to bond both sides of any insulated couplings or unions to maintain electrical continuity. The NEC also requires bonding of metallic gas piping systems to the electrical grounding system. This helps to prevent electrical current from flowing through the gas pipes, which could create a spark hazard. When bonding metallic gas pipes, it's important to bond the gas meter and any other metallic components in the gas piping system. In buildings with multiple services or separately derived systems, it's essential to ensure that all grounding systems are properly interconnected. This helps to create a common ground reference and prevent voltage differences between different parts of the electrical system. The NEC provides specific requirements for inter-system bonding, which involves connecting the grounding systems of different services or systems together. A common waste drain is a plumbing system that collects wastewater from multiple fixtures or appliances and directs it to a sewer or septic system. In some cases, the common waste drain may be made of metallic piping. If the building has a common waste drain and the panel also has a water bond, it is permissible to bond the hot water, cold water, waste, and gas together in one place as all pipes are common to each other. It's important to use appropriate bonding clamps and connectors to ensure a reliable and permanent connection. When bonding different types of metal together, it's important to use compatible materials to prevent galvanic corrosion. Galvanic corrosion occurs when two dissimilar metals are in contact in the presence of an electrolyte such as water. Over time, the more active metal will corrode. To prevent galvanic corrosion, use bonding clamps and connectors made of the same metal or use a corrosion inhibitor. Regular inspection and maintenance of the grounding system are essential to ensure its continued effectiveness. Grounding connections should be checked for corrosion and tightness. Ground rods should be inspected for damage or deterioration. Ground resistance should be tested periodically to ensure that it is within acceptable limits. If any problems are found, they should be corrected promptly. Poor soil conditions can significantly affect the effectiveness of the grounding system. Sandy or rocky soils have higher resistance than clay or loam soils. In areas with poor soil conditions, it may be necessary to use multiple ground rods or other grounding electrodes to achieve the required grounding resistance. Soil conductivity can be improved by adding soil amendments such as bentonite clay or ground enhancement materials. These materials help to retain moisture and improve the contact between the grounding electrode and the soil. In areas with permafrost, it may be necessary to use special grounding techniques to ensure a reliable connection to ground. One common technique is to use deep-driven ground rods that extend below the permafrost layer. Another technique is to use a ground grid, which is a network of interconnected conductors buried in the earth. Electrical safety is paramount. Always de-energize circuits before working on them. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. Follow lockout-tagout procedures to prevent accidental energization of circuits. If you are not qualified to work on electrical systems, hire a licensed electrician. Working on electrical systems can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified individuals. The NEC is updated every 3 years. It's important to stay up to date on the latest code requirements to ensure that your electrical systems are safe and compliant. The NEC is available for purchase from the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. Many jurisdictions also have their own local electrical codes that may be more stringent than the NEC. It's important to be familiar with the local codes in your area. Electrical inspectors play a vital role in ensuring the safety of electrical systems. They review plans, inspect installations, and enforce code requirements. Working with the electrical inspector is essential to ensure that your electrical systems are compliant and safe. If you have any questions about grounding or bonding, consult with a licensed electrician or electrical engineer. They can provide expert guidance and ensure that your electrical systems are properly grounded and bonded. Properly grounding and bonding electrical systems is essential for safety and code compliance. By following the NEC guidelines and best practices, you can protect yourself, your family, and your property from electrical hazards. Remember to always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals when working on electrical systems. The principles discussed here are critical for preventing electrical shocks, minimizing fire hazards, and ensuring the reliable operation of electrical equipment. Always refer to the latest edition of the National Electrical Code and local regulations for specific requirements and guidance.